So our topic for this week is national income, and this week we're trying to understand how the whole economy works. In other words, how the macro economy works. And in order to do that, we're going to start by thinking about how money moves around within our economy. So for example, if you or I go shopping and we spend money on some food or clothes, what happens to that money? How does it move around within the economy? And how do we calculate this idea of national income, the income of the whole country? So I want to start by showing you a video which I think illustrates this idea really well. It shows us how money moves around within the economy. In other words, it shows us this thing that in economics we call the circular flow of income.
Our story begins when Miss Pink decides to buy a box of yum-yum peas for the modest sum of €1.49. Miss Pink really does love yum-yum peas. What she doesn't realize is that with this small, seemingly insignificant action, she has set a complex and mysterious mechanism in motion, which experts call the circular flow. In 3 minutes, you will know everything, or almost everything, about this circular flow. Let's go back to Miss Pink as she reaches the checkout. Here we are at the spending stage. As soon as the money leaves Miss Pink's purse, her €1.49 shoots over to the Yum Yum Company. This is where production, the next stage of the circular flow, takes place. Mrs. Violet, the head accountant, is delighted to receive Miss Pink's €1.49. It's the 2073rd box bought today. Business is going well. And as it's the last day of the month, Mrs. Violet will pay all the company's employees their salaries. And that, my friends, is nothing less than income, the third stage of the circular flow. Let's take Mr. Blue, for example, who works in the packaging department. Mr. Blue can't wait to collect his earnings and spend them on holidays. His paycheck in hand, he runs off to buy a ticket to Egypt for €359. So now we find ourselves back at the spending stage. But while Mr. Blue flies off towards the land of Tutankhamun, we embark on another journey. With his money, which moves around in the circular flow, repeating the same stages again and again. Spending, production, income. Whatever we do, we just can't escape them. Spending, production, income, and so on, and so on. For example, Mr. Blue's €359 land in the coffers of the ZWA Travel Company. But watch out. Since the company has already paid all its bills and is making a profit, it decides to distribute dividends to its shareholders. To Mrs. Beige, for example, who heads straight to the spending stage. Mrs. Beige could treat herself to a new hat or some swimming lessons or life insurance, except Mrs. Beige has decided to buy an apartment. She will pay for it with her savings, but also with the help of a loan. The loan is a service provided to Mrs. Beige by her bank, which she will pay for through interest payments. This means there is spending by Mrs. Beige and production by the bank. Let's fast forward a bit to see what will happen to the first payment from Mrs. Beige. Let's see. Now it's reached the bank, who has decided to invest it. That's how Mr. Lavender in the IT department can order a batch of the very latest computers from Top PC 2000. Well, now you're beginning to understand how it all works. What is Top PC 2000 going to do with this money? Pay salaries, pay dividends, build a new factory? Nope. Top PC 2000, like everyone else, has to pay its taxes. And with the taxes it receives, the state does exactly the same as everyone else. It spends. For example, it builds a school and employs a teacher, Mr. Plum, who will produce a public service, education, in exchange for a salary, which allows him to invite Mrs. Plum for dinner at a local restaurant, Gino's, which will invest in a new frying pan, which will pay Mr. Ochre, who gets his hair cut at rock style, whose owner will buy a blue scooter in Miss Pink's shop. And, yes, she's the very same person who bought the peas earlier. Every minute, a great deal of spending combines with a whole load of production, triggering an influx of income, which leads to even more spending. And all these thousands of strings that overlap each other again and again, day after day, go together to make the circular flow. Enjoy your peas, Miss Pink.
So in that video, what we saw was 3 stages in the circular flow. It starts with spending, doesn't it? People going out and spending money, and then businesses produce goods, and once businesses produce goods, they pay wages, and then it starts all over again with spending. So I want to just go back a little bit now and think about a few things that we've touched upon before in economics. So first of all, what is it that we need to make all this production, to produce all those things that we saw people buying in that video? Well, we need those 4 factors of production. You may remember this from microeconomics. Remember land, everything that comes from the land. By land we mean natural resources. And then there's labour. That's the human input. People going to work, people making things, people providing services, all of that human input. Then we have capital. And by capital in economics, we mean really goods that are used in the production of other goods. So we saw someone buying a lot of computers in order to provide a service. Those computers are capital goods. An oven in a restaurant is a capital good. And then, of course, we have an entrepreneur, enterprise, that person who brings together the natural resources, the labour and the capital to make a business. And that's important to think about here when we're thinking about how money moves around the economy, because each of those factors of production has a reward, and that reward is a financial reward. So we call those factor rewards. What are they? Well, the factor reward for land is that rental income paid to the owners of land, or the money that's paid to farmers for the production of those natural resources. How about labour? Well, when we sell our labour to businesses, we get paid in the form of wages and salaries. And we saw that in the video. And then if we're a business owner and we provide enterprise into the economy, our reward for that is the profit we get back. And those capital goods, they're bought with money that's often borrowed from the bank, and that money is supplied by people who save, and they get interest on that capital. So these are the rewards for those factors of production. These are the money, if you like, that goes around the economy. So remember we said very early on in economics that economics is all about deciding what to produce, how to produce, and who gets what's produced. So who is it that makes those decisions in the economy? Well, remember we said that it's people like us. In part, it's households. We decide what we're going to buy because we're consumers. We decide what we're going to do with our labour because many of us work. But it's also firms and businesses who decide what they're going to produce. And of course, it's government who decide how much they're going to tax us and what they're going to spend their money on. And if you remember, all of these people we call economic agents. So it's economic agents that make the decisions about where the money goes.